Hello, my name is Mercury, and welcome to this brand new episode of Media Buffet. Today, I'm alone and I'll be discussing the second season of Andor. Now, we are going from a very depressing topic in the last episode, which with the end of Evangelion, into another very depressing topic here with Andor Season 2. And for almost the exact same reasons. um, so Andor Season 2 is an interesting thing. And I gotta say, the whole show of Andor is very, very interesting. For all the right reasons, I would say. Andor is just a marvel in current television. Basically, I think everyone knows that Andor is one of the best things Star Wars has done in the last. Right now, ever since like Disney full on like started doing movies and shows, back from Star Wars, The Force Awakens, back in 2015, almost 11 years ago. Well, I mean almost, but like it released in December of 2015. So like it's just barely gone over 10 years. But in those 10 years and 1 month of official Disney Star Wars, it was just the sequel trilogy and some comics and like Star Wars The Clone Wars and The Mandalorian for a good while until, it was only a sequel trilogy until Mandalorian came out in November of 2019 with Disney Plus launch, and that was the month before. That was the month before Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, which is definitely a movie that we will cover in like 10 years. And anyways, and after that, I think that's when people started to tune out of Star Wars. I know, we had like, The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker kind of tanking it. I know there's a fan war, I guess, debating if like The Last Jedi is good or not. And I think everyone just hates The Rise of Skywalker, but I think the main thing is like, is it worse or better than Rise of Skywalker? I would say that the sequel trilogy just kind of goes down in like a curve. Yeah, a curve would mean that it bounces back, but like it just gradually goes down. Like, sure, Rise of Skywalker is the bottom, and technically Last Jedi is higher up, but like it's still a downward spiral. You're not getting quality out of it. That's how I think. Like, is The Last Jedi good? I haven't watched it since 2017 when it came out. I'm pretty sure it came out in 2017. So yeah, I haven't. I think it was the 40-year anniversary of that movie. Was like the 40-year anniversary of the franchise, which next year we're entering the 50th, which is insane to think about. I don't know what they'll do for 50th. I kind of know. We're getting Star Wars Starfighter next year. Now we're also getting Star Wars The Mandalorian and Grogu this year. Like, there's a new movie coming out, and it's kind of funny, like unrelated to this, but it's kind of funny seeing how people don't know a new Star Wars movie is coming out this year. It's coming out in 4 months. Like, it's not far away in like the grand scheme of things. It is not far away at all. So yeah, like, people don't know, the trailer has 10 million views right now. It released in September, so it's been out for quite a bit, 4 months, and people don't know it's coming out. I have a feeling that movie's gonna bomb hard unless it's good. Like, unless the movie is good, it probably will bomb. The only thing that's going for it is that there is no competition right there. Like, Doomsday was originally slated uh, for May, but it got delayed to December. Now Doomsday's biggest competition is Dune Part 3, which they are like Warner Bros. Is doing the weirdest thing and not moving that movie. I would move it like, but if you want to come up for this year's movie before, do not compete with fucking Avengers. For some, like, and I know people also unrelated, but like people are not. It's like people were like really just waned by like and whelmed by Marvel so much for these years. But now I'm seeing so many people have Avengers Doomsday be their most anticipated movie of the year. That is insane. Like, obviously it's an Avengers movie, and like they haven't done an Avengers movie for quite a while, which I know a lot of people have that criticism of Marvel, like the MCU Phase 4 or 5, that they never did a team up movie, like a big team up movie until Thunderbolts, and even then it's a bunch of like Disney Plus characters, which, I mean, they were the best in Disney Plus characters, but they were still like characters you have to pay additional a monthly or yearly subscription to see their stories and understand. Like, you wouldn't get it all that much. But anyways, going back to Star Wars, there was nothing until Mandalorian, and that's where like a lot of the plans, I think it's like Star Wars Celebration and like D23 were laid for Star Wars, and like what was coming. Obviously, we had Clone Wars Season 7 in February of 2020. Like, that was really quick. And there was nothing that year until Mandalorian Season 2. And that's where, like, and that's when I think that the plan for Star Wars was, like, really laid out, and that's when we got a bunch of shows. The next year, we came on the scene and we started talking about a lot of the shows. Like we had Star Wars: The Bad Batch. We had Visions. I think that was it for 2021 for Star Wars. Like that was when like the ball started rolling. 2022, obviously, Book of Boba Fett began in December. The 2022 is the year I want to talk about, because that's when I think a lot of people started to see like, okay, there's too many fucking shows right now. Because that's when we got fucking Obi-Wan. Pretty sure we got Obi-Wan. We got some other shit that I can't remember. I might be stupid, but I can't remember shit out 2022 Star Wars. Even though I said, oh, there's quite a bit. Tales of the Jedi. We had like the finale of Book of Boba Fett, which ran into 2022. But we also had another show on the scene called Andor, and I feel like this show was a show that people didn't really care for a lot. I myself included. I think a lot of people really doubted this show. Because, like, why were they making a show based on a secondary character from Rogue One? Like, sure, Rogue One made a lot of money because it was a Star Wars movie. But I think a lot of people realized what Rogue One was and didn't care much for the next prequel movie, which was Solo, and that one bombed. Like, yeah. But anyways, like, people didn't really, thanks to me, I mean, like, why would they make a show based on a random guy from Rogue One? Sure, he was one of the main characters, I guess, but he wasn't like the big main character there. So to me, it was like, why were they making this show? And then obviously, I think a lot of that was like the reaction to a lot of people. And then obviously, you know, the show blew our minds at the first season. I do want to say that I kind of regret my review of Andor because of one simple thing. It was actually quite a lot of things, to be honest. That review was made with a very, very interesting state of mind when it came to that show. I liked it a lot. I will agree, I did like it a lot. However, one very, very important thing has to be said about that. I mean, about that first season is that I watched it when it aired. I mean, obviously, as it aired, like the morning it came out. Obviously, now Disney Plus is doing, like not midnight releases, but definitely, but like a 7, like, I think it would be like 10 p.m., 9 p.m. releases for like EST, which, I mean, I guess is better because like people can come home and like not wait until midnight. They can watch it normally. But I wasn't the biggest fan of that change. Like, why the fuck? I'd rather just have it like on like the day it comes out, like not even midnight, just like wake up, oh, it's already there. I not have to wait the entire day. But that's just me. Yeah, I watched the first thing in the morning. I watched Andor, and I liked it, but obviously, it was first thing in the morning for a show that makes you think a lot. So I wasn't really in the biggest state of mind when it came to that show. But that was not the thing for Andor season 2, because I didn't watch Andor season 2 until I didn't start until like 2 days ago. I started on last Wednesday, and I finished it yesterday, which is Friday. You're not listening to this on Friday, on Saturday. You're listening to this probably on Sunday. But I finished it on Friday, and so I binged it. I know that the way this show releases is really weird. It releases in like arcs every week until like May 28th, around there. So yeah, releasing arcs. So I kind of just binged it, which is rare for me to do. I don't binge. This is like the second show that made me like binge, like has had an impact on me so much that I binge it. But anyways, yeah, all that's to say that I was in a better place, not a better place, like better equipped to take this show on and to really like review this show. Because that review was 40 minutes long. It didn't cover anything. I was kind of like glazed. I feel like I just kind of glazed the show. I never really knew what it was all about. I have to rewatch this show. Apparently, this show is better on rewatch. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to eventually. Obviously, right now we're going to catch up. This episode was supposed to come out in July, and all the ones you're listening to today, that are releasing today. I don't know if you're going to listen to all of them, but the ones that are releasing today. We're all supposed to come out in July. Like, it's been a while. It's been a while. So, yeah. But anyways, the show that almost was unexpected to be good. I think this is the one that I think people didn't really trust and like doubted. But I guess that's where it really got its like footing, because Disney themselves kind of doubted this show. It's kind of like, do whatever the fuck you want. And they delivered really, really good Star Wars. And I think a lot of people are like, yeah, this is like the best thing Star Wars has ever done. So yeah. Let's just get into it. Starting off with, we always start off with the visuals and action. Now, obviously, the CGI in this show looks really, really good, and there are almost no places where it looks bad, which is insane to think about for this show. This show is something rare that's seen now, and I think it's almost not like seen anywhere else. This show is longer than most shows we get now. This show is like this season, like both Andor seasons are 12 episodes. And they maintain that quality that you'd expect to see in like I guess like a mini series. Like obviously not getting that quality, but like in a mini series, 6 episodes, 8 episodes, it retains that for 12 episodes, and it has a longer runtime than almost all of those series. It is a long show, and it's a Star Wars show, so obviously it's gonna have to have a very high quality CG, like a very high quality type of CGI, because a lot of the show is spent on Coruscant, which I do appreciate that this show is like around Coruscant and all that, because Coruscant's for being very important, and I know it probably wasn't thought of until the prequel trilogy, but we never really saw it like explored that much anywhere else. Like obviously, like I said, Origin trilogy probably wasn't thought of that much. I don't think Coruscant was a thing until the prequel trilogy. But like adding like we have like the new Disney Plus shows, like we don't explore what happened to Coruscant, which would be a very important thing since that's where like the Senate is. That's where the Emperor is stationed. Like that's a very big part of the universe would be Coruscant, but we never really see it all that much. So you gotta like, so you gotta question like what the fuck happened to it. But I like that in this show, it's a very very big focal point. Coruscant's a very big focal point. And it looks really, really good. All things like Coruscant here looks really, really good. There are no like blemishes when it comes to Coruscant, or like really any world or any like piece of like any piece of of the settings that we see here, like different planets and all that. We don't see like any bad CGI. But I don't want to focus on CGI like alone. I want to focus on not even the action right now, the camera work. I don't talk about the camera work because I am not a cinematographer. I know jack shit about cameras. Like I don't know a thing about cameras. So like, yeah, I couldn't tell you what good like how to make good camera work. All I know is I know good camera work, and this is a very very good camera. Like this is good. This is good. Really good. This is a really good camera work. Like we have shots like in the crowd, and like when like obviously Gorman Massacre again. If you see a fucking review this long about Andor, anything, you probably think there's the spoilers, but I guess spoiler warning, and just fucking spoil the whole Gorman thing. The Gorman Massacre, you have shots where you're in the crowd, where you're running, and where you feel like you're running, and you're experiencing like this historic event. Right there, like voice track, right there, you're like right in the action. It looks really cool, and like shots with like the ships and action and stuff, like. It's very, very good camera work that you don't see in much of Star Wars. Like when I was watching the first episode, I was like, yeah, people, and I had this thing like in my brain recently. That was like a whole video that was explaining why scientifically, I don't know, Andor wasn't Star Wars. Now, like first of all, that's stupid to argue scientifically whether something is Star Wars or not. Like you don't. Those are things. There's a concept that don't go together. I don't know what the fuck you were doing there. But those were concepts that don't go together. And like watching this season, I was like, yeah, I get it. Why Star Wars fans don't say that they're allergic to anything that looks like a real show. Star Wars has a very specific way of looking at the movies especially, or like editing, whereas like the Star Wars like what became known as like the Star Wars transitions, you know, which I think were lost over time, which to me I'm like whatever. Like they were part of the charm, but it was very like rudimentary. It was very like just. It's what it became known for, but like I don't know. It just wasn't like real editing. It was kind of like fuck, but fucking movie maker transitions there. Like, it'll look fine. It's just but like it's not here, and it feels a lot better. Like even like with camera work and all that and all that stuff, like Andor's kind of surpasses everything because it's like it's shot, it's lit like a real show. It's not meant to be like super like just kind of It's kind of like like there's nothing more to say about the like unlike other shows and other Star Wars things. It's like yeah, there's not really much to say about the camera, but in here there really is because it's so different from Star Wars. It's so unique to this show's style that it's worth mentioning. It's what set this show. It's what sets this show apart from other Star Wars productions. And I would like to see that more. Just kind of like, I would like to see more. You know, actual like uniqueness when it comes to shows, when they have their own style instead of just kind of trying to copy the Star Wars style. I guess that was like a big thing for Star Wars show, like, oh, they have a good CGI. It's like it's like a Star Wars movie, but like really long and it's episodic, and that like could be fun. I don't know, like I like to have just have it have style, like Andor has. So yeah, like I just wanted to mention the camera work really makes Andor have like a very unique feeling to it that doesn't feel like Star Wars, but I don't know, like I like that it doesn't feel like Star Wars. It feels different. Like it finally feels like something else that just isn't the same thing over and over and over again. And unrelated, but I want to mention something. People like that say, "Oh, Andor's in Star Wars." Like, yeah, but it has nothing to do with the Force. Like it's Jedi and things. Like, I don't care. I don't care. That doesn't have to do anything with the Force or Jedi or anything. The galaxy of Star Wars is much more than the Jedi and everything we have here. I don't know why people aren't realizing this. I like the fact we got a show that isn't just focusing on the Jedi and Force sensitive users. Like we kind of had that with like Rogue One. They didn't really. I mean, it had a Force sensitive user, but it wasn't a Jedi. We also had like Solo, kind of. I mean, Solo had Darth Maul for like 2 seconds. Mandalorian is also about a Force sensitive user. Book of Boba Fett had a whole fucking arc about like Luke Skywalker and all that bullshit, so we're not counting that either. I guess it would just be Andor and like fucking Bad Batch, since nobody there's Force sensitive. It doesn't really doesn't really focus on a Force sensitive part. It has, I guess, some Jedi users, but like they show up like one episode. Some Jedi users, some Jedi like, so some just Jedi, and I guess that's not Ventress at the very end. But yeah, like Andor didn't focus on anything on any like Jedi or Force sensitive stuff. I think a lot of people like oh, we're the real Star Wars fans, like really like took offense to that. I was like, come on, like the Star Wars universe is much more than just Jedi and Sith and all that stuff. You know, it's like the first, like the big focus. Like it shouldn't be like what the universe is all about. We have like we have more stuff to cover and more stuff to explore than just the Jedi and like the Force and all that stuff. Like we need to think more. So yeah, that's all I mentioned. Going into the other topic, I want to talk about the action. It's really fun. Well, as fun as the action here could be, because the action in the show is mainly like a last resort, and it's treated really sadly in like almost all instances where it is like they are pushed to have action and pushed to take action and actually an attack. That's kind of lost. That's kind of not a thing in the first two episodes, because in the first two episodes it's very like it's very like I mean, it's just an action scene to have an action scene. So I guess there's that, but like in every other episode, it's like the action is like the build up. It's like the culmination of like all the build up we had until then. And there's not much of it, but I think it's very like it has it very well. It's very tense. It's a very tense show. It's very much like a thriller, where it's tense and it builds up tension and all that. Like the action's really like just like the action isn't just big fight scene and all that. Like it's very like strategic. It feels a lot more like an opera, like an actual like mission. Having like plans and only doing the like actually shooting and fighting people as the last resort if things go badly, and things do go badly quite a bit. So quite a bit of that, but I like how the action is handled here, where it's not just like we're gonna fight the Empire head on. It's like we gotta be smart about this, and drawing blaster fire could be really bad for us. But yeah. Anyways, let's get into the characters of Andor, which are definitely a big part of why this show is good. Great, amazing even. I gotta say, since I recorded and watched Andor with like me like having and watching it at like 6 a.m. being like half awake, I don't remember much of Andor season 1, which is another reason why I gotta go rewatch the show. But I gotta say, I did forget some of the characters. I forgot Willman was even in season 1. I forgot about Vel. I forgot about the whole like. I forgot about like Lonnie, kind of. I forgot about so many characters from season 1. I forgot about like the whole engagement that Mon Mothma's like daughter had in season 1. There was so much I forgot. There was so much I forgot about these characters. Whenever something from season 1 popped up in the recap, I stayed to watch it because I was like, okay, I gotta find out what the fuck is going on. I forgot Dedra's whole thing. Like, yeah, no, it was a lot. It was a lot that I just forgot from this show. But anyways, let's just get into the characters. If I gotta mention something about like any others, then I'll do it. But yeah, let's talk about the characters. Starting off with Andor, the main character here. Andor, I feel like now that we have him in the rebellion and being a very big part of it, we do see how it affects him. I gotta say, it is his show, but I almost felt like his entire involvement is like go here and do something and do things. I do like that he has his own mind. He doesn't really want to keep doing that. Where he's like, I want to have my own decisions. And how much he kind of wants to quit doing the rebellion stuff, even though it'll be better if he did. I mean, we kind of know where he ends. And God, I gotta talk about that. It's a big part of his character. I think it's a really sad scene because it's meant to be like very like, oh, like when you get back, like we're sort of families. Like, oh God, I think everyone knows where Andor ends up after season 2. So it's like, oh God, it kind of hurts you. It really does. But and we also see how, again, kind of like that, we see how Andor wants to like have a family of Bix and start like a life of Bix. But Bix is like, hey, like the rebellion really does need you. Yeah, we see I don't think we see as much of Andor as we see in like the first season, because the season's very much about like how Andor like helps out and stuff. It's not much about him. It's much more about like Mon Mothma and kind of like Cyril and Dedra and Luthen than it's about Andor. And they're just kind of there to really challenge a lot of them. But I gotta say, I like Andor's character arc here, where he doesn't want to be part of the rebellion. He wants to like just go into being alive, but now like people depend on him, and Biggs just kind of chooses for him. It does lead to a really sad scene because you know where Andor ends up. That's like the big thing. You know how Andor's story ends up, and I think the show. I mean, obviously the show knows where Andor ends up because I mean they can't kill him off. But the show is aware that it's going to make you feel like shit. Because I don't know. Like you'll probably I think if you want to enter season 3, you're gonna have to watch Rogue One. Even if Andor isn't the big main character of that, you'll have to watch Rogue One. Which I'll get into later. I'll get into how I like the Rogue One. I mean, obviously, it has to have Rogue One connections. I like how they're handled. Yeah, Andor, he isn't the biggest part of his own show. Season 1's very much about Andor and how he got into the rebellion. And it's also about Luthen. Kind of Mon Mothma in a way, she's also there. But it's mostly about Andor. And here is a very big emphasis on the rebellion as a whole instead of just Andor's part in it. So yeah. But I still think Andor is a really good character in this show. He's just not the biggest. He doesn't have the biggest role. He's kind of there for like missions and stuff. Aside from the one at the very end where he rescues I forgot her name. Clary? No. Clea, right? Clea. Where he rescues Clea because he thinks it's Luthen. So yeah, like there's that, but that's not a mission that he was sent for. Yeah, anyways, let's move on to some other characters. Starting off with Luthen. Luthen, I think we do get a lot more characterization with Luthen here, especially towards like the last 2 episodes. Obviously, we knew in season 1 he's not the best person, but yes, he is one of the main reasons the rebellion even forms. He's the one who has connections of a lot of groups, of a lot of rebel groups, and his main focus is like bring them all together so they can fight the Empire more efficiently. And it all comes from like this like moment where he deserts from being an Imperial Army officer that we see in last episode, in the second, like something like second to last. No, it's I think it's second to last episode. No, it's that episode. It's episode 10. It's episode 10, where we see like all the flashbacks, and that is, I know I've been saying like, oh, but I don't like the flashback episode here, and I don't like it here. I have never liked flashback episodes where it is like the sole purpose is like stop the fucking narrative. It was in Last of Us Season 2. It was in Ruby Volume 3. What else was it in? I've completely forgotten. Hold on. Give me a minute. I remember not liking something like, oh, the pacing issues here, it's wrong. Maybe it's just the ending stuff. Like, oh, it ended weirdly. But I've never liked flashbacks and how they can interrupt a narrative if done wrong. This is how you do a fucking flashback, where there is an actual reason. There's an actual reason why you're seeing this, and it ties into the character and what they're feeling right then and there. Like, we have Clea reminiscing about her past of Luthen. That's more a Clea thing. But you have obviously example for what I'm talking about. You have Clea reminiscing about her past of Luthen, and how much, even though she didn't treat him like shit, but like how much she had sass and all, how much even then she loved him as a father, and how much she misses him, and how much that decision to finish him off at the very end really, really impacted her. That is how you do that's how you do a fucking flashback episode. That's how you focus on a character where you tie it into what's going on. Not like Acolyte, where you have 2 flashback episodes to tell you the same fucking thing. And the problem with those fucking episodes is not the fact that they happen and all that, but the fact that they're both the same thing, telling you, oh, here's what actually happened. But the problem is, the first one is kind of told out of fucking nowhere, since it's not told to anybody. And the second one is also not told to anybody. It's purely for the audience. But the problem is, when you do it for the audience, the plot stagnates. It's never brought up. It's never brought up to the characters, so it just sucks. Acolyte is the wrong way to do that. It's so crazy. Right now, I'm seeing I don't know if it's revisionism or just fans of Acolyte. When yeah, people didn't like this because of this and that. Obviously there are people who have terrible fucking dog shit opinions about why the show sucks. And guess what? They're wrong. They're wrong for having those opinions. Because that's not why the show sucks. The show sucks because it's written poorly, and because it doesn't try to have a fucking narrative. When you think it's ramping up and okay, we're getting to the midpoint of the season's over in an episode. The writers for that show, they didn't know fucking pacing if it hit him in the face. God damn. I don't care if we're never getting an Acolyte Season 2. It doesn't fucking deserve one. God. It took such an interesting plot point about yeah, the Sith are rising. We see the rise of the Sith and how they came to power, and how not how they came to power, like how they could have infiltrated like the Senate and all that stuff, and just kind of like they took such a cool concept and just did nothing with it. Oh, and like kind of like. I don't know. Like I think the concept of having like people like other people, other like cultures take the Force and see what they do with it is also fine, but again, it's not done well. See that's another example of how you not do this shit. It's fucking Acolyte with the flashbacks slowing the pacing now. In Andor, it doesn't slow it down at all. It enhances the episode because you're seeing Clea's past with Luthen and how much of an impact Luthen had on her life. So yeah, like I like it a lot more here. This is how you do it. You do it by tying it to the narrative. If you want to have a flashback episode that's just a flashback episode, the best way to do it is to tie it in. Like, this is this character telling his side of the story, or how this happened. So you're at least not just like meandering around. The story is still progressing because the character is still telling these other characters, hey, this is what happened. That is like the way to do just a pure flashback episode. Instead of in here it's like bits and pieces, the most important pieces of the flashbacks and of the past put in here, so you understand what's going on and why this character is feeling this way in the present. Even though you've already seen this character have this relationship, you're getting a relationship. You're getting this deeper look into it. That's cool. But anyways, Luthen. Going back to Luthen, but talk about the flashbacks. I do like that we get we do get a look into Luthen's past, and it's really weird there, like seeing Luthen be so, I guess, in like the one with the Imperial Army where he first finds Clea. Like having Luthen there. And seeing how just like emotional he is, how much he wants the suffering and what he's doing to stop, is so weird. But it's like, yeah, this guy has a reason to be like the way he is. And obviously, like I said, Luthen isn't the most trustworthy person, and a lot of people in the rebellion don't trust him. But he did kickstart a lot of the things that would become part of the rebellion, and they kind of owe him at that point. He sacrificed really everything to get the rebellion in action and keep the rebellion safe, keep that fire lit. So yeah, I think Luthen's a very, very good character, and I like the part of the end. Like the whole thing about his death, and us seeing like why Luthen became the way he did. I think that's really well made. Anyways, next up is Wilman. Now, again, like I said, I don't remember much about Wilman from the first season. I'm not sure he was even much there. Obviously, he was on Ferrex and witnessed like the Ferrex. Would it be massacre or would it be like insurrection? Not sure, but he was there. But I looked it up, and he doesn't really show up in much episodes. So, of season 1. So yeah, I don't know. But in here, he has a very big part. He's with Bix at the very beginning on Mina Rao, and then he becomes like a Luthen's agent. Gets radicalized by Saw Gerrera. And yeah, no, I think he's a very good character. to have here. We like to show us, even though Andor kind of did the same thing, show us how the impact can spread among people. Yeah, like I like that about women. And him having different people guiding. Like Luthen, Andor, Saw Gerrera, him becoming as someone who is part of the rebellion. I'm not sure what happens to him. He's probably alive by the end of let me if there's not so many ads, I could where the fuck? Here we go. Here's the search bar. Wilman. I'm guessing he's still alive. Maybe not by. I mean, he's probably still alive by the end of the Empire. By the end of Return of the Jedi, I would think he's still alive. Not sure. It does say. It doesn't say he died. Right, he wasn't Gorman, so he didn't. Yeah. What did I say? Oh yeah, he was in Gorman, so at least he was part of that and Rely and saw all of that. But yeah, it doesn't say he died afterwards. Yeah, he only shows up in 5 episodes of the first season, so. Yeah. How much is this? 1, 2, 3. 10 episodes. He shows up in 10 episodes of the second season. So he's a bigger part. Like I said, he's a bigger part of the second season than the first season. You know, I like Wilma as a character. Anyways, let's move on to Bix. Yeah. Okay, Bix is an interesting character for this season. Obviously, she's dealing with a lot of the stress and PTSD from last season, where she was tortured by the Empire. And a lot of the first half of the season is a lot of her character from the first half is dealing with that, and how much more trauma she gets throughout the season. And how much that fucks her up. But, you know, we also have kind of at the very end, kind of like her taking decisions and being I guess how much like she also wants to have a future with Andor. We do see that a lot, but how much she also wants that, and also how much catharsis she gets, because towards I think towards episode 5 or 6 or something like that, she gets the opportunity to kill the doctor that tortured her. So again, very cathartic. Just to see she goes through this whole arc where she can't sleep or gets really bad nightmares. So so it's a bunch of it's help and to fucking kill that guy. So yeah, I like Bix a lot, and obviously she was to start a family with Andor. And at the very end, Andor is very undecisive about what he wants to choose. Does he choose her? And when he wants to go with her, he wants to leave the rebellion so he can start a life with her. But Bix refuses for him to give up the rebellion, saying that it's much more important to him right now to fight for their freedom, so they don't live in fear. and that when he comes back, he'll uh when he come back, he'll be with them and and have a family and have a life, which is really sad because when she sends that, it's a year. It's a year before he goes on the mission to Kafrene, and Rogue One begins, and then he dies. You're obviously meant to know that Andor dies at the very end of Rogue One, getting obliterated by the Death Star. You're meant to know that. So yeah. And that's sad. That's really sad. And yeah, I wonder how she dealt with what happened afterwards. I something else I want to say. I don't want a fucking sequel to explain like, oh, fucking the Cassian Andor and Bit Scaleen's child. I don't care. I don't want it to happen. I want to keep it like this. But I do. It does make me wonder. I think it is meant to make you wonder like what happened. But it's meant to be. Fucking hell, Tony, you bastard! Just the main like the showrunner and writer Tony Gilroy was like, "What do you think? I want to end on hope. I really want to be hopeful at the end of it. My brother in Christ. This is the saddest thing of all time." Because you know how it ends. You know what happens. Oh God. No. And according to Gilroy, the scene was it was a way to end on another hope. It feels depressing. Like, yeah, Biggs is gonna have a happy life, kind of, without Andor. She's gonna know Andor died. God, it's depressing. I guess it's hopeful in a way that, yeah, you see that Bates is happy is have a happy life, but like Bates is like going to do well, but God, it's sadder than anything. Because again, you know where Andor ends up, and the show leads into it. I was gonna put this like later, but I think I'm mentioning it now. I was originally gonna have a future section for this episode, but then I realized, doesn't make any fucking sense, because the future for Andor is is Rogue One, and that's like the big thing. Like, it really is. When this show was first announced, it was like, I think it was gonna be 5 seasons, where one it was gonna focus on one each season was gonna focus on one thing on like 1 year before Rogue One, like, which was later shortened to be 3 episodes, like 1 arc per year in season 2. I think we'll get into that in the plot section. I have some things to mention about that. But it was originally going to be Andor season 1 was going to be for 5 BBY. It's like 5 years before Battle of Yavin. Then subsequently, season 2 was going to be 4 years. Season 3 was going to be 3 years. Season 4? Season 2 was going to be 4 years. Season 3 was going to be 3 years. Season 4 was going to be 2 years. And season 5 was going to be 1 year. And man, I wish we got those 5 seasons now. I'm sorry for doubting this show. I feel like this, not against the show. I feel like for what it had, I feel like it did really well. But for this show, us seeing like the final 3 episodes, like the final like stretch of the show, be like this, like after 5 seasons, you already knowing where it was gonna go, like not like where it was gonna go, but like how it ended, where you knew it was gonna end up. Like, God, it would have hit hard, I think, after watching 5 seasons of it. It still hits hard after watching 2. It hits hard after watching 2, but like 5 seasons, it would have hit harder. If Andor season 2, if Andor had 5 seasons and then released yearly, I think we'd be going into season 5 this year, which would make sense. It would be like the 10th anniversary of Rogue One, right? Season 1 in 2022, season 2 in 2023, season 3 in 2024, season 4. Yeah, it would be the 5th season going to this year. So, wow. I wish desperately we got those 5 seasons now, because this moment would have hit harder if it was with 5 seasons. And I think a lot of this show was written with it being 5 seasons. Like this. I'll get into the plot, but yeah, I want to get into that. Yeah, I think a lot of the show was written with it in mind. Yeah. Anyways. Moving on to another character, Cyril. Cyril was, I think, really well written in this show. Cyril ascends the ranks of the Empire because a very big, like, I think it's like a Bureau Standards guy, where he just kind of works around in that field and all that. But obviously, he's not like, we see, like, I think he's a very interesting character to follow around in the Empire, because we see that not everyone in the Empire was privy to what the fuck they were doing. This guy is very opposed to the fact that they're about to kill Gormans, and that's what like the whole thing was focused on, and I want to get to that later. This guy was very opposed, and we see how like even though he like felt like a cold, not calculative, but like a very cold person in season 1, he began like, I guess, softening up through season 2, and now he very strongly opposes the Empire's decision at the end. But even then, his main goal of the show is to find Andor, to get revenge, because he's been a thorn on his side for so long. And when he finds him, it is, I think, one of like the best scenes of the entire show, where you see Cyril's entire like worldview completely fall apart. It just shatters. Just completely. When Andor asks him, after Cyril spent so much time, so much of effort and time into finding Andor and all that, when he finally has him at gunpoint, he's finally about to take his revenge. Andor asks him, "Who are you?" And you just see it on his face. His entire worldview, his entire being, just falls apart, and he is just immediately killed. And obviously, the show tries to make you feel for Cyril, and you kind of do, especially towards his mother. His mother tried to become very close to Cyril and all that, and she's a very lively person, and you get the sense that she does care about Cyril a lot. So even though he's supposed to be like the bad guy, and even though he's defecting, and even though he can't let go of his resolve to kill Andor, which eventually becomes his demise, even if it's not meant to be, even if it wasn't like completely tied to it. Yeah. When you see the reaction of his mother, it is heartbreaking. I feel it is so heartbreaking because you do get it that his mother like really tried to connect with him and all that. It is just so heartbreaking. God. Episode 8 of this show, of this season, and I guess like just this show, it is, I think, again, after End of Evangelion, God, it was one of the things that just made me feel like that. God damn that episode. And at the very end, like, everything throughout that was just so good. Like with I guess getting to the plot a little bit, just talking about the episode as a whole. But like that scene where all the Gormans like start singing what I'm guessing is supposed to be their anthem. And it is loud. It is loud. I love the scene where it's all just where it's in their language. Like, god damn that episode. And then again, like I said, like at the very beginning, with the visuals where it's the chaos and how trapped they are. Oh my god, that episode. And then at the very end with the credits are so good too, where it's silent and you start hearing like the Gorman singing, and then it carries over into the next episode where the intro has Gorman singing. God damn, brother, that episode is one of the best episodes of television I've ever seen. I'm not sure. Give me 5 seconds. I know it's not the best comparison, but I want to check Breaking Bad. So I know that the episode on Serialized, which is basically Letterboxd for shows, which I have an account. Just look in the description. You want to go check that out. But Breaking Bad is one of the, but this, like, Andor has that episode, which is Who Are You, has a rating of like 4.8, so it's almost perfect. I want to check. See more stats. It's a 4.6, so it's a bit less. The most rated seasons are Season 1, Season 2, and Season 3. It goes up. Highest rated seasons are 4 and 5. Breaking Bad Ozymandias has 4.88. So does Felina and Face Off. I'm not sure what Andor has. Like, the highest rating is 4.88. I think Andor is 4.84, something like that. Yeah, just check. Uh, 4.84. I was correct. Yeah, no. Like, that show is almost. I haven't got into Ozymandias or Felina yet on Breaking Bad, but the fact that this episode is almost on the same level as those episodes, from what the people consider to be the best show of all time, that's pretty fucking big competition, I gotta say. But yeah, just that episode is so good. But yeah, moving on to and it was followed by banger after banger after banger. Before the show, like I hit like the mid season, which was kind of the same thing for the first season of Andor. I was like, yeah, it's good, but I kind of feel like it's great, but I kind of feel like we need more time. If these next episodes don't convince me this is a perfect show, not perfect, but like an amazing show, like I don't know what will. I was convinced. I was very, very convinced, I gotta say. But yeah, moving on to Dedra. Dedra is a very interesting character. She is, it's not promoted, maybe she's promoted, but like she's brought into the whole Death Star plan thing. And she also wants to start a family of Cyril. And that's a big thing. Like, the relationship between her and Cyril is explored here. And how much, like, respect she's going to get from having the missions here. And from you know, from carrying out the Gorman massacre. But we also see how obsessed she is with Axis, and specifically like Luthen Rail. And how much that leads her to losing everything. She doesn't die, but she doesn't lose everything. She loses. I mean, obviously she loses Cyril, which she gets very saddened about. But then she loses everything. She finds Axis, but she cannot prove him of everything because he is killed. And the fact that another character like essentially brought her down. So she ends off the series in what I'm guessing is Narkina 5, which is the big prison season 1. And we just see her like lose everything. And it's so interesting how this character, again, kind of like Cyril, where Cyril like lost everything and was like, and I lost all meaning when Andor like told him, "Who are you?" Like here, she spends this much time finding Axis, and it was all for nothing, and she is brought down. I feel like the character's really good. And like even then, like how cold she is carrying out all like everything going on with Gorman. And even then, how much she shows emotion, how much like she cares about things. But yeah, Dedra I think is a very interesting character. She's an antagonist, but they do flesh her out, I think, really well. Next up is a character I think a lot of people are gonna like a lot more from this show, and it's Mon Mothma. Mon Mothma is a character that's been part of Star Wars for a very good while, ever since, the first movie. But she never got much of a character until this show. And I gotta say, goddamn. Goddamn, what they do with Mon Mothma is really, really cool. She is the leader of the rebellion, and obviously she's part of the Senate, at least for a very good while she's part of the Senate. And we see how she can't stay quiet anymore about what's going on with the Empire, how much she opposes them. And she gave such a great, amazing speech that really genuinely pumps you up. And it actually makes you want to fucking fight the Empire. It's really, really good. But yeah, Mon Mothma is just really a really, really good character. We do see in the beginning, we just want to protect her daughter from all the Shinjil and stuff, and how much that affects her, which I feel like it is cool to see. But yeah, no, I think Mon Mothma is a really, really good character in this show, and I think is one of the best characters here because we spent so much time on her, and even though she doesn't trust much of anyone, she does she does become a really big part of the rebellion. So yeah, I really like that. I really do like that. Jesus, I can't speak. Next up are some other characters I want to mention. I guess I mentioned what I mentioned. I mentioned. I forgot. Hold on. I mentioned Clea. I'm not gonna talk about her. I always talk about Clea. I feel like it's done really well. I like this character that we didn't really know much about, having a lot more to do in this season. Saw Gerrera is also really cool. I like his speech. I think his speech is very cool, even though he's kind of crazy, but he does admit to it. So yeah. I think a lot of people do think Saw Gerrera is a Rogue One character, and that makes sense to think of him as a Rogue One character, but he is from Clone Wars. I'm not sure how the I guess the people there thought to include Saw Gerrera, the Clone Wars character. The first Clone Wars character to ever make the jump to live action was Saw Gerrera. I'm not sure how that happened. He's pretty much completely different in Rogue One. I want to see the reactions to that and how that happened and how people reacted to that. Who the fuck is Saw Gerrera? But yeah, I think every character is done really well here, and there's nobody that is written poorly. So yeah, that's all I really gotta say. There's some characters here that don't do much, like Lonnie. Lonnie, he has a big part, and I do kind of feel for him because he was such a giant reason why the rebellion knew about the Death Star, and he has a reason to be there to be part of all that. and he wants to have a better life for his family, but he is immediately gunned down by, not gunned down, but he is killed by Luthen, I guess, to preserve the secret. So I guess we'll never see what happened to them. We also have Vel, which again, a character I don't remember much about, and this season doesn't really make much of a stink about her. But she is here, and she has some scenes, but again, not much. And I didn't remember she fucking existed after the Aldani arc in season 1. So there's that. But yeah, let's move on to the plot. I do want to mention the 5-season thing, and specifically the time jumps. This season has a lot of time jumps, and that's very much in part because it is taken from what I'm guessing is the original plans. The original plan was to have this be 5 seasons and have each season be about 1 year, like I mentioned. But in here, it is 1 year per arc, and every arc is 3 episodes. There are 12 episodes. Yeah, it's like the big important pieces of each of these seasons. Now, I would have loved to have seen that. This would have been such a gigantic slow burn series, which I would not have minded. I would not have minded. I do think it was changed for the sake of this season, which is fine. I do want to talk about it. There are certain things in these arcs that are never really brought up again after all of them. That's because obviously a year happened between them, so a lot of things were gonna change. But there are things that are set up in those plot lines that are just kind of like left behind. I think that's part of the thing, like the whole, like, you know, dealing with the fact that they cut down on things. I didn't remember him dying. What the fuck? Take Homa. I did not remember him dying. Okay, whatever. But yeah, like there were certain things that were dropped, and that feels like it was because they kind of had to split it up and have like the big parts of each arc. You know, before this season, which is a shame. But I do think that they did change a lot of it for the sake of it having to be one season. Like, for example, the fact that the season kind of starts off with the whole, like, oh, we're gonna go into Gorman and things, like, that would have been the most batshit insane thing to have, like, season 2, what would be season 4, you think, where, like, it would be, like, 2 seasons worth of just complete setup, like, not like complete setup, but, like, of just setting up season 4 and having that be the Gomer Massacre. I do think it was changed because of that. I don't think we would have gotten the Gomer Massacre being set up in, like, the start of season 2 to be paid off in, like, season 4. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I think a lot of things were changed when it was shortened down to season 2 to 2 seasons. Two seasons instead of having it be just 1. But this show is still a bit of a slow burn, and I do not mind that at all. I feel like it works really well. The first two arcs are very, very much just explaining like the big setup to what is gonna happen in arc 3 and 4. And I don't mind that at all. But I did feel like, okay, this is a bunch of setup and there's things being dropped kind of here. What are they gonna do for arc 3 and 4? They're gonna convince me that this show is going to be really, really, really good. And they did convince me that this show was really, really good. But it did come at a price, I guess. But even then, I liked it. I liked that the time jumps showed how, like, this season having the time jumps did have a big advantage to it that I think it wouldn't have worked if we had just one season per year, where it showed in the season how long they've been planning the Gorman stuff. And until 2 BBY where it happened. It happens. You do feel like the time passing, and you see how long they've been planning that for years. I think it works better here as it being one season of a bunch of time jumps than having it be multiple seasons until the very end. So yeah, like I do like that a lot about this, and maybe it would have worked better. I know that they had to do Gorman Massacre stuff eventually, since they were kind of set that up. If this had happened where it was going to be 1 year per thing, and then they did go into the Gorman stuff, then obviously it would have been a big setup and payoff in that time span. I think it works better here than it's one complete season instead of it being multiple seasons. I'm guessing the show would have been different if it was multiple seasons. But yeah. Speaking about that, just the writing wise, this show is amazing because it manages to do that, where it makes the time jumps not feel like arbitrary. It just feels like naturally progressing story. Like, that's really, really good. So yeah, I didn't even mind stuff being dropped since it's kind of explained later on anyways. So, yeah. Like, that's the thing with like this show. Like, you're gonna feel like it's a slow burn, but it is when it pays off and it never lets up. Like, it's really, really good. So yeah. And again, I don't mind slow stuff. Like, I think slow is fine. Like, you can definitely tell a story having it be slow and having it be fine, and the story flows well and all that. I don't mind slow stories. The problem is when it becomes boring, and Andor is not boring at all. You're gonna love this show. Wait, is it for everybody? I don't think so. I don't think it is. But it is one of the best shows of the decade, so you have that to think about. So yeah, do yourself a favor, watch Andor, watch it twice. I'm gonna watch it twice at some point. I don't know when I'm gonna watch it twice, but I will. So yeah. Andor is a beautiful show that we needed in Star Wars, and hopefully more things come like it, because yeah, we just desperately need it. We desperately need it. Yeah. Dave Filoni, I know he didn't like Andor, which is or like he didn't really like, I guess, the show. I don't know if he liked it or not, but this whole thing about how much he didn't like the show, hopefully doesn't impede us from getting more stuff like this, because I'm wishing it gets awards, because that might tell Lucasfilm like, hey, like, there's a market for intellectual Star Wars. So yeah, but I hope we really get it. But yeah, because of its absolute brilliance, Andor Season 2 is going in the S tier. It is just so good, and you are, if you haven't watched it yet, you're doing yourself a disservice. I don't care if you're not even like a Star Wars fan. You don't need to be a Star Wars fan to get this show. You just, you don't even, again, you don't need to be a Star Wars fan. You just need to be a fan of anything. And if you're looking for a good show, Andor is where you get it. And if you don't watch anything about Star Wars ever again after Andor, I don't blame you. So yeah, what did you guys think about Andor? Leave in the comments below. All our social, if you want to give us your feedback, you can like the episode on YouTube or dislike it, whichever you prefer, or rate us on Spotify. And if you want to stay up to date for our content, you can subscribe on YouTube or follow us on Spotify. And if you want to go into any of our other socials, they're in the description, including my review sites where you can get, or where you can see early reviews for anything related to the podcast. So yeah, that's about it. See ya.